Are we live? I'm not seeing it yet. Is there anything?
I think we are. Hi, I'm Vickie with the Southern Penn Bookshop, and I want to say welcome to our premiere episode of Between the Pages Live. This is our way of being able to bring our authors live to you, since we're unable to do in-store actual author events. So we were trying to be creative, and this is what we came up with. So I want to say welcome to Between the Pages Live and Southern Penn Bookshop. Our guest tonight is going to be Marlene Buchanan. She's a Southern humorist. I always say if you can't afford entertainment, just invite Marlene. She's going to give you a bunch of laughs, I promise. So I'm going to give you a warning at the beginning of this episode. If you're drinking anything, you may want to just move a little bit away from your screen, because you may find yourself snorting with laughter a little bit, because Marlene will definitely bring the laughs to you. She is the author of Life is Hard, Soften It with a Laughter, and her newest book is A Place with a Path. It's nothing like your brain taking a vacation in the middle of everything. But let me tell you, first of all, if you're not familiar with the Southern Penn Bookshop, a little bit about us. We're 2 years old. We're located in downtown Monroe, inside the Monroe Mercantile. We're next to Chili's Cafe. Is owned by Chad Chili. Chad and I work together a lot. Chad has the general store section of the Monroe Mercantile, and also the cafe. He's fed a lot of our authors in events, and he's also catered a lot of our special events, like our Writers Conference and our Christmas teas. So anytime you come to visit us here at the Southern Penn Bookshop, definitely step right next in the building over to Chili's Cafe and grab you some good food. Have not yet had anything on the menu there that has disappointed me, and my favorite is the Monroe Mercantile, but he is known for his hot dogs. So don't forget to stop in and say hey to Chad at Chili's Cafe. Like I said, we're about 2 years old, and let me tell you a little bit about what the Southern Penn Bookshop is. We're 100% a bookshop that supports the independent small press authors. That means that we do not carry traditionally published books. Our indie authors are our rock stars, and we have a wide variety of genres in our store. In our little bookshop. We have a lot of good Southern authors, but we also have authors all around the United States. We have young adult, children's books, cozy mysteries, romance, historical fiction. So we just about had 80 type of book for any reader on your list. Also, we have some great gifts. So if you don't know exactly what to get that reader on your list, just visit us at the and you can always pick out, and we also have great gifts in the bookshop itself for the reader on the list. One thing that the Southern Penn Bookshop does to support our Georgia indie authors is we host and sponsor the Georgia Independent Author of the Year Award. We started this award about 2 years ago when a prominent Georgia award, a writers award, decided to exclude self-published authors from their award. So that's how the Georgia Independent Author of the Year Award was created. We have already closed the awards for this year. We will be opening up submissions for next year in late September, early October. All books need to be published. To be entered needs to be published between January 1st to December 31st of this year to be eligible for next year's award. We have not announced this year's winners. We are in the process of waiting to hear from our judges, and we'll be announcing the awards banquet probably sometime about mid-August. So we say here at the Southern Penn Bookshop, there's two things that you should never judge a book by. One is by its cover, and two is how it's published. So definitely here at the Southern Penn Bookshop, let us introduce you to your favorite indie reader. Now tonight I have a co-host with me, Miss Mary Treadwell. Mary and I go back many, many, many years. We actually started working together as partners at the Rockdale County 911 Center. We both share a huge love for books. Mary now has started doing indie author book reviews. So she is going to be joining me tonight. And Mary, thank you for agreeing to be our co-host tonight. And go ahead and just tell everybody about what you do.
Well, thank you, Vickie. I need to tell you one of our comments is our volume's low, so I don't know if we can adjust it any or not. But I love books, as Vickie said, and I started reviewing books a long time ago. And then I moved into the realm of only reviewing books by indie authors because there's not enough attention that's often given to indie authors, and there are a lot of really great stories out there. So I decided to dedicate it just to indie authors. And my website, I interview authors from all different genres and post on there. It goes on the website, on Instagram, Twitter, Goodreads. If you're on BookBub, I put it on BookBub, and of course Amazon if your book is on Amazon. And if you have a special request, I can put it on there too. So, you know, I like a variety of stuff, and I like trying to promote people's work.
Well, again, you know, you and I have worked together a lot. You've helped me a lot with the Southern Penn Bookshop. Many of you that have attended any of the events that we've had at the bookshop or our writers conference or our annual Christmas tea, you have met Mary. Mary is one of the huge behind the scenes supporters of the shop, and so I'm really happy that you were able to join it and be a co-host. And Mary and I will probably, one of the projects we have coming in next year is to actually launch a podcast, which will complement the Between the Pages Live. And Mary will come in and help co-host with me and also do some of her reviews on the podcast. So, alrighty. And it's nothing like first night technology issues. So we just chuckle right along with us while we get through all this.
And bear with us because we're trying to catch your comments from one monitor, watch the taping from another monitor, have our visuals on another one. So, you know, we may not know what we're doing for a minute, but we'll get there.
Yeah, it's been a while since we've had to multitask with a lot of technical issues. Back in our days in 911, we used to run about 3 or 4 monitors and multiple radios. So, and it never fails. My phone never rings until I'm doing something. So, that's it in the background. But like I said at the beginning, our guest tonight is Marlene Buchanan. She is such a delight, and I was excited when she accepted the invitation to be our guinea pig for our first show tonight. Mm-hmm. So without any further ado, let me go ahead and introduce and bring Miss Marlene out with us. She is the author of Life is Hard, Soften It with Laughter, which is a wonderful memoir with good Southern humor in it, and then her cozy mystery, A Place with a Past. So come on in, Marlene, and say hello to everybody.
Thank you, ma'am. Hey, y'all.
Just to give you a little bit of a background on Marlene, Marlene's got a little bit of Winston attached to the back of her, so you might.
Winston's a cat.
Yeah,
I have not been rubbing up against Vickie's husband. No.
No, that's Bruce. But that's okay. He sheds too. But anyway, Marlene is a retired teacher, so she writes a lot about her years of being a teacher in her book, Life is Hard, Soften It with Laughter.
Okay, Vickie, they're telling us the event's not playing.
Okay, awesome.
Okay, can y'all hear us? Can you see us? All right, can you see us? Can you hear us? Somebody let me know.
Okay.
All right, guys, somebody tell me if you can see us or hear us, okay? Lynn Hess says you look beautiful.
Thank you, Lynn.
Okay. I'm seeing the comments that might indicate they are seeing us.
Okay, yeah, all right. Maggie tells us she can see and hear us now.
Thank you, Maggie.
Thank you.
So anyway, getting back on track here, talking about you and your book. you actually write a column for the Gwinnett Citizen called Hey Y'all.
Correct, yes.
So you already had a lot of readers that were familiar with your style of writing.
I did, and I started first writing for the Patch, the Snellville Patch, and I had a column there that was Hey Y'all, and the Patch kind of disintegrated and changed hands, and Avi Coffin at Gwinnett Citizen asked me if I would come and write for them, and I said yes.
Now, in your book, Life is Hard, Soften It with Laughter, that's kind of your motto, isn't it? The title of the book is kind of your motto, isn't it?
It really is. I spent so many years dealing with people that were in crisis or just unhappy. I mean, it wasn't just career counseling. It was like, I'm going to kill myself. So, you just find out that you need to laugh and soften your world, because life truly is hard. And laughter is the only thing I know that can soften it. I don't know that it will extend it, but at least it can make it more pleasant.
Yeah, exactly. And we have another really well-known local author in the bookshop, Lori Duff, and she says that at the same time.
Yeah.
Same thing is you've got to find the funny. Now, just a little bit about your personal life here. Here's a picture of you and your husband. Now, tell us a little bit about your husband.
Well, and he's sitting right over there. He's going to applaud and tell me how good I was, whether I was or not. Snell and I first met when I was in my second year of teaching at Duluth High School. And I thought I looked good. I had on a skirt that came to my fanny, and I had hair that came to my fanny. Actually, my hair was probably longer than my skirt. But anyway, I thought I was really cute stuff, you know. And he thought he was robbing the cradle, so he ignored me. So 3 or 4 years later, we were given tests for a governor's honors program, and he was one of the ones there. So using my great pickup line, what do you do in Slug City besides watch the one red light change? And then he started calling me, and he turned me down the first 3 times I asked him to marry me, but we got married 364 days after our first date.
And his name is?
Snell, S-N-E-L-L.
And you write about y'all's meeting and how you pursued him a little bit in your book, right?
Yeah, you know, we were old and fossilized. He was probably my last chance. When you think about what was available out there, you know, there was Sonny Partee, for some of you who know him, Emmett Clower, you know, and the coaches at all the different schools. So I got the best one of the lot.
Well, that's good to hear. Now, one of the challenges you probably had in your dating life was your dad.
Oh, well, really and truly, my daddy was over 6'4". He was an Atlanta police officer, school detective. And when he came home from work, he still had his .38 on his hip. So, you know, the boys would come and knock on the door, and the first thing that would hit would be this 25-pound cat that was 5 feet tall from the top of his head to the tip of his tail. And he usually took out the screen door. Daddy replaced it every Monday because I'd have dates Friday, Saturday, and Sunday. And then my daddy would come in and introduce himself because Mama said I couldn't open the door to a boy. And so there would be Daddy with a gun looking down on my date. But, you know, I was fortunate. I did have some second dates because mostly they didn't get to meet Mama first. Mama would have been the killer of the deals.
Mama was a little bit tougher. Huh?
Oh, Daddy was a pussycat next to Mama. So.
Now, talking about cats, you actually have a section in your book about your cats, and you have a couple of special cats in your life that you've had in your life.
Oh, I have. Yes.
But you have a really cool nickname for them.
Well, I call them the flying monkeys. One day, my son called me from work, and at this particular time, I was dealing with breast cancer. My mother was sick, and we had a little cat named Ramona that had inhaled a botfly and was brain damaged. So we were feeding her every 3 hours through a feeding tube, taking care of my mother, and I was dealing with radiation and surgery recovery. And James called and said, "Mom," never a good thing, "Mom, I found 2 cats at the trash compactors. Well, go in there and ask them to make an announcement to all the teachers and see if somebody doesn't want those 2 cats. I started calling. I called everybody I knew. I started threatening to revoke high school diplomas. I called the woman that cut my hair, and I said, if you don't find somebody that'll take this cat, I'm going to destroy your business. Well, anyway, 9 years later, the flying monkeys are still there, Figaro and Mystic. We thought Figaro was a male. We have a sex identification problem at our house. We thought Figaro was a male because there were freckles back there, but the gynecological exam proved that she was actually a female. But their philosophy is if you can go from one room to another and never touch the floor, that's what you do. Now, if Mama's great-grandmother's platter happens to be on the counter, well, just knock it out of the way. It doesn't matter. As long as the cats are, if it weren't for the cats, I wouldn't have to go to the grocery store.
You mentioned that, and again, in your book, Life is Hard, Soften It with Laughter, you talk a lot about how you really are allergic to cooking, that your favorite recipe book is the folder of takeout menus, and your favorite way of making dinner is making reservations, right?
Absolutely, honey. I don't care who cooks it as long as it's not me. I will tell you this. I cooked dinner last night. I don't really want to get that out. But I did beef stroganoff and corn on the cob, and I had garlic bread, but I forgot to take the garlic bread out, so we didn't have that. So anyway, there's never a meal that I prepare in the house that either doesn't leave out something important or requires a fire extinguisher. So,
I was about to say, wasn't there an incident where you actually did set something on fire, like a piece of plastic or something?
I have a drawer under the oven that I had stored a container that had a plastic cover over it, and I forgot about it, and I turned the oven on broil, and I was busy doing something else because cooking is really scary. You can't tell it looking at me, but it is. And the fire alarm started going off, and the house was real smoky, and the cat started gagging, and so, yes, I melted the plastic. I set the stove on fire. You cannot get fire extinguisher foam off of anything good. It just breaks up. So, but yes, and then after like 2 or 3 days of laying in the floor with plastic knives, chipping away at the plastic and wiping the smoke residue off, Snell says, the stove's 22 years old. Why don't we just buy another one? If I could have gotten up off that floor at that moment, I probably would have strangled him.
Now and I think this was in your earlier days of being married, you decided to cook something that your mom used to cook a lot, and it didn't quite come out.
Snell and I planned a wedding, built a house, all while we were teaching school that year. And I was going to be so cute and smart and this perfect little wife. Well, hell, that doesn't work. But anyway, I was going to make my mother's beef stew. So I had all the ingredients, I thought, and I had it there, and it was cooking, and everything looked good, and it didn't quite smell like Mama's. It didn't quite look like Mama's, but I thought, well, I add some more salt and pepper to it. Finally, I called, and my daddy answered the telephone, and I said, Daddy, I was cooking beef stew and it doesn't taste right. And he started laughing. So then he calls my mother. Instead of putting Mama on the telephone, he's the relay between us. And he starts telling, and Mama's going, well, did you put in the McCormick's beef stew mix? I didn't know McCormick's beef stew mix or my hole in the wall. Anyway, she said, she told this to Daddy. Daddy told, well, it's edible. It won't kill him the first night.
And obviously not, because he's still with you. So how long have you and Snell been married?
We will be married 45 years, December the 13th. We will have been together 46 years, December the 13th.
Well, congratulations on both of them to that.
Thank you. Thank you. Yeah, and you know what? I almost got him trained. But now he's getting old and he's slowing down, and he likes to sit down in front of the television a lot. So, I'm trying vitamin therapy, you know, magic water, whatever it takes.
I kind of find that husbands think their primary job is making sure the chair in front of the TV doesn't go anywhere.
Okay, that's it. That's it.
Those chairs have been known to roam, so yeah.
And you know, I had to get Barry one of those that you push the button and it helps him stand up. You know, so he holds it down and then it, you know, allows him to stand up. Yeah, we'll put the ejection button on it.
Yeah, I was about to say, don't give her any idea. Now, you guys, after being married for quite some time, you got a little bit of a surprise that y'all wasn't expecting.
We've been married 7 years, and the doctor had already told us the chances of us having a baby was slim to none. So I accepted slim to none. I had no problem with that. And then one day, I'd been sick for a while, and Snell said, "Could you be pregnant?" As my eyes rolled back in my head, I'm going, oh no, it couldn't be, no, not that. Went to the doctor, and dang if the rabbit didn't die. So, yep, I started throwing up 15 minutes after conception, and I continued to throw up for 15 days after the birth. So, and to this day, every once in a while, I get a little
twinge.
Yeah, but he's beautiful. He's 38 years old. He's got my daddy's blue-black hair and olive complexion and dark eyes.
He's a very striking young man. Very striking and extremely intelligent too.
Yeah, but he was deprived of oxygen during birth, so he's mildly mentally handicapped, and I mean things could be a lot worse, and I haven't killed him yet.
Oh, and he's so talented. I've seen his glass blowing that he's done, and it is amazing.
Yeah, he does do that, and please don't ever ask him anything about taxidermy or about animals, because you will get everything that you never wanted to know. And please don't tell him how they, you know, don't say, "James, tell me, how do they get the brains out of those skulls?" Because he will tell you. And you will not eat scrambled eggs for weeks.
Now, you write a good bit about James and his love for animals, and how he actually got to go. Was it SeaWorld down in Florida?
Well, he did work at SeaWorld for one summer, but he went to Busch Gardens.
Okay.
And he worked. They had camps there, and James went the first 2 years. The third year that he was going to be in, I guess, the intermediate level, they moved him to the college course. The kids that were taking that class were taking it for college credit from the University of Florida in animal husbandry and vet tech programs and things like that. And they used to say, you know, tell James to put his hand down because they've got to answer something. But, you know, he knew it all. And I think if James had not been damaged, he probably would have gone into veterinarian science, probably in exotic animals, or maybe into aviary medicine, because he was really big into both of those.
Now, there is one, and I just thought it was hilarious. There was one story in the book about James, and it was a muskrat or something that didn't it wind up in your freezer?
Well, no.
That's why she doesn't cook dinner.
That's true. There are things in my freezer that we really don't want to discuss tonight. James is supposed to go to the taxidermist and take them tomorrow, but he can't go. By the way, he's taking driver's ed. Do not be on the roads around Loganville and Monroe tomorrow. So, but yes, one day I had a doctor's appointment, and James was going to go with me, and I am wearing a pink linen suit with pink sandals, open-toed sandals. And we get to the driveway, and there's some critter laying in the road. And James is going, "Oh no, what got hit?" And he's looking at it, and it's a muskrat. And if you don't know what a muskrat is, it is a huge wolf rat, tail this long, snout. Anyway, the muskrat starts to kind of move, and James is first saying, "I'm going to get it, and we'll take it down, and I'll stuff it, mount it." Excuse me, you never say stuff. And we'll mount it. And I'm going, Yeah, right. So I try to get out to get the animal out of the road because now it's kind of weaving, lifting its head up and snarling. And I'm trying to get it out of the road. Remember, pink linen suit, doctor's appointment, open-toed shoes. I get a plastic bag and I'm trying to, James is going, if it's alive, bring it over here. And he's calling his daddy, who can't hear thunder, saying, come out to the street, da-da-da-da-da. And Snell hears Rat Street. That's it, Rat Street. So I'm out there trying to pick up the muskrat, get it out of the road. I have cars lined up on both sides. Nobody is getting out of the car to help an old fat woman and a muskrat. Anyway, I get it over there. James is saying, Daddy, Daddy, if it dies, put it in the freezer. If it lives, okay, but if it dies, put it in the freezer. And what Snell told us was that it went into the ditch and he never found it after that. I don't know if it lived or died, but it is not mounted and living in my house. That's all that I care about. But in the meantime, when I get to the doctor's office, the doctor goes, what is that all over your pants and your feet and your shoes? And I'm going, muskrat blood. Thank God it wasn't a psychiatrist.
Now, talking about muskrats, if you look at the cover of Marlene's book, Life is Hard, Soften It with Laughter, you'll notice that there's a drawing of a rat in the picture frame. Tell us a little bit about that drawing.
When I first started teaching, I wrote my name, Marlene Ratledge, up on the board with a list of the courses that I was taking. And I said, I'm Marlene Ratledge, you're in period 1, whatever it was. And some kid said, how do you say your name? And I said it again. And somebody over there said, that's too hard. And said, let's call her Art Woman. Well, for years I was Art Woman. But another one said, no, let's just call her Miss Rat. So I became Miss Rat. And through the years, I have probably 100, 150 mice and rats that have been given to me. And the little picture on the cover was a drawing that I did one time when I wanted a decal to go on my purple 1940 Chevrolet, which I still don't have. But anyway, that's okay.
and actually, in your pen, a mouse or
yes.
2 mice.
Yeah, this one is you know, very, very expensive. I think I paid $3 for him. So
wow. You know. and you have a saying about gaudy and fashion.
Oh well, you know, gaudy isn't a fashion statement; it's a state of mind.
Exactly. But going back to the Mrs. Rat, your website is missratwrites.com. So that's yes. where that comes from. Is from being all cool, awesome. Now, just want to let you guys know that are joining us tonight. If you go to southernpennbookshop.com, and this is only available for you guys who were kind enough to give us a little bit of your time this evening, you can get Marlene's new first book, Life is Hard, Soften It with Laughter, for $9.99. If you order her newest book, which is A Place with a Past, you're going to have to use the promo code at checkout, which is Ms. Rat, and that's MSRAT, to be able to get this special offer. And this is only for you guys for being kind enough to join us tonight. So just want to kind of let you know that. Now, this next picture we have up is a picture of your mom and dad. Tell us a little bit about that, because that inspired some of your essays in the book.
Well, like I said, my daddy, James Edward Ratledge, was over 6'4". My mother, in her prime, was probably 5'5". And as you can see in this picture, which was made back probably in the 70s, there was already a good bit of height difference. Everywhere they went, they held hands, and they had the work ethic of, you get out there, you get it done, and you don't stop until it's complete. Lived through the Depression. My daddy in World War II wrote my mother 761 love letters. And those letters, that's not the next book, but the book after, are going to be compiled with some of the pictures that he sent. And I'm trying to get it done by 2022, which is, of course, the, another anniversary of the ending of World War II, the 80th. So that's a project I'm working on, but they were very close. Daddy would do anything that Mama wanted. Mama was the creative one. She came up with the ideas. My daddy built it. Whatever she wanted, he did. So, yeah.
Now, your dad brought something back from World War II that wound up getting you on a very well-known antique show. And I tell you, if y'all ever can find this episode, you can see the teacher look come out in Marlene when the person tells her what the value of this item is. You want to tell us about that?
Well, the one she's talking about was a vase that was given to me by a good friend, Jack Sawyer, and I was on Antiques Roadshow. And when they told me what it was worth, I conveniently slapped my hand over my mouth, because some of you who know me know that I might have, almost slipped and said something ugly. But I was surprised. But what she's referring to is when Daddy was in World War II, he was in the European theater, and they had captured Hitler's personal train, dining car, and 2 other cars with it. And it had been pulled in next to where the U.S. Army's 7th Hospital train was. That was Daddy's train. And they were having trouble with it. And one of the officers on Hitler's train came over and asked the head honcho on Daddy's train, do you have anybody that can help? And they said, yeah, ask Rat, because he can kind of jury rig anything that needs to be done. So Daddy went over there and worked on the engine and got it working. And when he got ready to leave, he went up and told the captain that was in there cataloging for the Smithsonian and for the U.S. government and the Allied troops that the train was up. He thought that they could get back on further into Allied territory without any more trouble. And the guy reached over and picked up a cream pitcher off of Hitler's personal dining table and gave it to Daddy and said, here's your souvenir. Thank you for all your help today. So,
and you actually write about that in the book.
Yes, I do. And that was a feature on the Memorial Day issue of the Gwinnett Citizen. It had a picture of the cream pitcher and everything. And my daddy invented the hot showers on trains during World War II. Too,
so he could actually just about do anything.
He could.
And he actually did some stuff for you while you were teaching and created some things for your classroom.
Oh, he did.
So
he did a lot of stuff for us.
Well, looping back around teaching, with the COVID and everything, there's a lot of parents that are finding themselves being teachers for the first time. And but your years of teaching teenagers, you had a word for that applied to teenagers and what they went through, and I think you called it hormones.
Oh yes, hormones. There is nothing like the angst of teenage hormones and what those things can put their parents through. And parents, there really is justifiable homicide, locking them in the closet, not letting them out for, days upon, slipping in things under the door. It always works. Kids are in that stage where they're not children, but they're not adults, but they think they know it all. And as you being the parent, you're nothing but old and stupid. And it stays that way pretty much until they hit their mid-20s or they have children of their own and then they need your help. I think that we should freeze dry them from about age 15 and a half and thaw them out somewhere around 23.
But you have a not a remedy, but
I have a prescription.
Prescription. And what is that? Because I think you actually used it some when you were a counselor.
Oh, yeah. As a matter of fact, I wrote it out on a notepad for several parents over the years. My prescription is this. You need a couple of things. You need a box of Kleenex, full box of Kleenex. You need a pillow, and you need a 12-pack of Hershey bars. You need them with almonds if you're low in roughage. You go in the bathroom, you lock the door. Now, we all know that children are going to go into the bathroom with you, so it's important that you lock the door. And if they're very talented children, install a deadbolt. You scream into the into the pillow. You blow your nose, and you eat a Hershey bar. And you repeat this as often as it is necessary. Now, I suggest that you get a fake box of Kleenex, and you can put 36 Hershey bars and put 2 Kleenexes on top so that you can have your box of Kleenex and your box of Hershey bars, and nobody will know.
It's voice of experience there,
oh,
right?
honey, I'm telling you what. And you know what? I really am. I'm trying to do something about my weight. So today I've only had half a pot of coffee and no chocolate.
Oh my God!
So,
and you're being. And for those that don't know Marlene lives on coffee. That's about the only thing Marlene probably cooks in her house is
it's
coffee.
true. Yes.
You that's something you and Mary share is
yes.
y'all's love for coffee.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Don't get between these two if they don't have coffee. But now on this next picture, it's you on a tractor.
Oh.
And this kind of goes back. This comes back around to how to maintain one's sanity in something
Yes.
you do.
I'm in my garden finery in this picture. Notice the mismatched boots. The matching pair is in the bottom of the lake. Golf carts don't float, y'all. So, ricocheted it, lost, always lose one boot when I hit the lake. But yes, I love to bush hog. And it's wonderful because if you're really smart, you never look back at the house. So you don't see people doing this at you. You can't hear them. You can't have a telephone on there. And if people start trying to track me down, I go back and I cut my neighbor's yard behind us. So yes, it's you can meditate, you can cry, you can scream, you can cuss, you can do anything you want to on that tractor, and nobody can hear you. And if somebody gets in your way, you can run them down.
I can see why your second book is a cozy mystery. I can just imagine what the third one's going to be like.
Hey, I know all kinds of weird things. I know how to kill people all over the place. And I also know how to keep your brains from coming out your nose when you're dead.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Okay, good stuff to know. Now, a little bit, and you do bring a lot of humor, and you bring a lot of to actual things that happen to you in your life, and you tackle 2 very, very tough parts of your life, and because you had 2 very, very serious health scares.
I did. I did have breast cancer, but and at that time we were dealing with Ramona's illness and my mother's illness. My best friend died on January the 1st. My mother died on January 31st of that year. So it was just really terrible. And really, truly, if it hadn't been for Snell sitting over there, I'm not sure I would have made it through that year. The other thing is that I had a problem with really basically acid reflux, except to the extreme. And it had destroyed the fundus, which is the top part of your stomach where your esophagus attaches. So it had destroyed the fundus and the esophagus. And I finally found a doctor that said, I know what it is. I know what it is, and I'll get you to somebody. Other doctors had told me it was in my head, or, oh, you just need to take a tongue, or something like that. Anyway, Donald Dennis, I hope you're listening, Dr. Darling, because I'm talking about you. But Donald Dennis got me to a surgeon and a specialist at Piedmont Hospital. And they discovered that because of the damage to the fundus and the esophagus, I was aspirating stomach contents into my lungs. And so I kept having pneumonia, I kept having respiratory problems. And I finally went to see this doctor after Dr. Dennis discovered what was wrong. And if a doctor comes in and sits down on the bed and takes both of your hands and looks you in the eye, that's never good. It's never good. The anesthesiologist came in and said, hello, Screech. This is Screech. He's my cheerleader. Anyway, he said, we're only going to put you out for a short period of time because we're not sure you're going to wake up from the test.
Wow.
So then they got me ready, and I did wake up, gasping, but I did wake up. And that doctor came in and said, you need to get all of your affairs in order. Well, the doctor that was actually doing the endoscope came in, took both hands, sat down on the bed, and said, you need to get your affairs in order because we're going to do a fundoplication, a Nissen fundoplication, because you're not a candidate for anything else, and we're not sure that you'll come out of the surgery alive. So I have codicils out the wazoo to our wills. And if you're not nice to me, I'll tear them up. So, you know.
But I think you had to be, I think it was very brave of you to write about something that personal in the book, and you do it in such a style that, you know, your humor really shines through with it.
Thank you, Vickie. I've had a lot of people that have contacted me and said, you know, I bought your book just to give it to my friend who's going through something similar. And I think if it helped one person go through something that was life-threatening or even just scary, it was worth it, because I had some good friends that would call and laugh and get me through some mighty hard times. And I will always be appreciative of the laughter they gave me and the friendships of those people. So, yes, one of them is Sandy Williams, and I use this a lot, but she sent me a note and she said, it's a good thing we were raised in the South and ate red clay so that we can handle the grit that comes to us in these times. And it's true. You know, you're raised with either a spaghetti noodle or an iron rod in your back. And I guess I got the iron rod because you just don't give up. And life is hard. You might as well soften it with laughter.
Exactly. Now, your next book, you went in a total different direction with your next book, and you went with a cozy mystery. And Mary is gonna take over from here and ask about and talk with Marlene about it. But there's some special things about the cover. If you read Life is Hard, Soften It with Laughter, you're going to read about some bears that are very, very significant and special to you. And so if you want to tell us about the cover a little bit and what the significance of the items on the cover, and Mary, I'm going to hand it over to you now.
Okay. Yeah. Thank you, ma'am.
I'm going to sit here and pet Screech, okay?
And Screech is smiling at me. The book is called A Place for the Past, and my father and his brother were both very tall men, so the twin beds that they slept on are extra long. They have extra long mattresses. The bed in the picture is Daddy's. The bear, the large bear that has the violets on the dress, is the dress of my grandmother. The overalls are my grandfather's. And the little doll down here with the china head was my mother's. Mama was born in 1918. So this was her little doll. And in the book, I talk about my, quote, the teacher in the book's great aunt, Belle, named Ring-a-Ding. And these pieces are related to her and her husband to make the big bear. And then the little doll belongs to Clarice, who is a child that is in the book.
Now you have another special bear at home that I have seen, made from your father's.
I do. I have one that was made out of my daddy's police uniform. And I have...
Yeah, it's awesome.
I have his little throwaway gun and holster, well, not his gun, but his holster on it. And I have his police cap, yes. And then I have a third one that was a little mohair bear that's practically bald, that is in a little baby dress of mine because it is bald. And that was the bear that my daddy gave my mother when he asked her to marry him.
Aww.
So those three sit together.
Well, I have to tell you, I really enjoyed the book. Cozy mystery is probably my most favorite genre to read. And I saw a lot of you in the book. interspersed during the story. Your main character, Patty, inherits the house from her great aunt, as we mentioned, and a lot of things happen to her after that. You want to give us just a little brief summary of?
Well, Patty didn't really understand that she was the last in the family line. Ring-a-Ding supported a lot of different charities, the church, a special needs equestrian therapy farm, things like that, which is part goes along with James, of course. And she left everything to her niece, her great niece. And the reason she did that was because Patty's parents had really tended to Aunt Belle and Uncle Charlie during their lifetime, because both of their children had died at young ages. The little girl, Clarice, who has this doll, had died as a result of scarlet fever and pneumonia. So many children did that back in that time. And then there is, well, when Patty inherited the house, she didn't know that she was also going to inherit an extended family. Clarice, who was a sweet child begging for help, and Morton.
Well, you know, some family secrets stay buried and some come back to haunt you. And
Morton came back with a vengeance.
he did. Now, as we looked at the story, and Morton kind of weaves his way into Patty's life and causes some disruption and all, she learns a bit about her family history that she wasn't really clear on. She knew that her aunt and uncle had children, but she wasn't really clear on a lot of things that happened. So she kind of learned some things from the community and from stuff that she finds out. Now, one of the discoveries that's made in the book has to do with a car. Is there a reason you pick that particular car? Is that a favorite one of yours?
I picked the 38 Ford because I was making it a 38 Chevrolet, and Snell said no, at that time it should be a Ford and it has to be black. However, there is a debate on painting it a different color, purple. But anyway, that goes on, and that's part of the romance story of Patty and William. And William is the local pharmacist. And so yes, but I was going to make it that car, but Snell said I had to make it a Ford.
Okay.
But yes, there is an old car, and I bet you can guess what Morton hauled in the back of that car.
Another thing I really enjoyed about the book is we're talking about the two, Clarice and Morton. You can have my water. Go ahead. I'll be all right. We see a very tender side with Clarice and dealing with her, and Morton trying to cause problems at every turn. And I like the balance between the two. I think that was very good throughout the book.
Thank you.
Is there, as you were doing it, did you pull on any family history or family stories?
Well, I have to tell you, I was talking to my aunt after I sent her the book, and she said, I kept trying to figure out who these people were. And I said, well, Gwinnett, some of them I just made up, and she said, and some of them you didn't. So,
but, it's bad when you get called on the carpet about that, isn't it?
Yeah, it really is. It really is. And of course there really was an Aunt Belle, but she was my great aunt, but I did not know her very well. I always just liked her name. And there was an Uncle Charlie, but he and Aunt Belle weren't together. I just always liked Uncle Charlie. I don't remember much about him, but so those two kind of took on a little bit of family things. And of course I talk about Patty's parents in there and the things that they did for Belle and Charlie. And that's a lot like my mother and daddy. But yeah, the rest of them are kind of sort of made up. The antique dealer, though, is a dear friend. So.
Oh, so you put him? Oh, yeah, cool.
Yeah. So, but he's a very dear friend, and he is a real person. And his shop is in Madison, Georgia.
Well, one thing that I learned from it is that there's some doors that you might not want to open.
Oh yeah.
And
And Morton's was one of them.
Yep, exactly. What are your future plans for any more cozy mysteries? Are you?
I do. I have a series that I want to work on that has two sisters that inherit a dilapidated B&B that's it's being remodeled, and the two sisters are based on my mother, who was called Goose for Grace, and her sister Hazel Hassel.
Huh.
And
Hazel Hassel. Okay.
when you have characters like Mama and Hazel, you don't have to make things up.
Yeah.
They are just there. So they're going to be the center of this, and of course there's going to be a few bodies, and Goose doesn't like to cook either. So anyway, so
now coming back to your new book, you have the character named Patty. Did you kind of pick that name because loosely off the fact that a lot of people call you Patsy?
well, Mom and Daddy call me Patsy, and my cousin called me a lot of things, but sometimes it was Hassel. And then my uncle called me, and Hazel called me Patty. This started out to be a 500 to 700 word short story to enter a contest. 70,000 words later, I've never entered the contest. And the way Patty came about was that I was going to name her something else, and it was Peggy. And when I typed Peggy, I typed in Patty.
Gotcha.
So just muscle memory, I guess, but that's how she became Patty. And by the time I realized I had done it, I was too far along to go back and change things.
Marlene, I want to say thank you very much for taking the time to come and be a part of our kickoff on Between the Pages Live. Between the Pages Live is going to air every Thursday evening at 7:30 p.m. here on Facebook. Like I said at the beginning, it's going to be our way to be able to get our authors that are in the bookshop out to you guys, so you can actually get to see and hear from the authors about not only just their books, but about themselves. Just keep in mind tonight that if you do want to get a copy of Marlene's newest book, A Place with a Past, you can get her first book, Life is Hard, Soften It with Laughter, for $9.99 with the promo code of Ms. Rat. So that's available. Her books are available here at Southern Penn Bookshop in our retail location, and also online at southernpennbookshop.com. Now you can keep up with Marlene through her website, MsRatWrites.com, and also she has an author page on Facebook. It's Marlene Ratledge Buchanan. Just wanted to kind of, before to close out the broadcast tonight, go over a couple of things that's going on with the bookshop, with some news and events. We launched last month virtual book trivia night. We didn't do it this month, but we will pick it up and do it again next month. In August, it's the last Wednesday of each month at 7:30. It's done through Zoom. We'll put up an event on our Facebook page so you can get the Zoom link. It's just a way to come together and have some fun, just, share some good laughs and test your trivia, your book knowledge. Our book for the month for August is going to be Finding Abundance by Barbara Taylor. Our bonus questions for the trivia night will come from that book. Visit us again at southernpennbookshop.com to be able to get all the information. You can visit the book trivia page on our website to get the Zoom link and the times, and also the book of the month. I think I did it Tuesday. Yeah, this Tuesday at 7:30 p.m. here on Facebook, I'm going to be presenting our back to school books. We have an awesome author, Peter Card, who he and his wife actually teach over in Dubai. They're originally from Walton County, Monroe, here in Monroe. They have created a lot of different series of books that are really great to teach kids. One series is called The Whiz Kids that helps teach kids how to handle common issues and challenges that they encounter in school. And also they've developed, they travel a lot, so they've developed a geographic series of books. And also their third series is You've Got Options, which is a great series of books that teaches sound financial principles on how you can start businesses and use good budgeting. And it's not just only how to start a business, it's just how to manage money in life. I'm going to have those books on this Tuesday night and talk a little bit more in depth about them, and also show the board game that goes along with the You Got Options series of books. It goes without saying what this year has been for everybody. We have decided to cancel the 2020 Writers Conference. We are looking to reschedule, and we are already starting to plan the 2021 Writers Conference. I'm going to be making releasing more information probably about mid-August about next year's Writers Conference. For those who did register for this year's conference, you're grandfathered in for next year's conference, so whatever the registration fee for next year will be, you guys are already registered for it, and you're in. You don't, if you want to just roll your registration over into next year's conference, you can definitely do that. Again, like I said, we're in the process of beginning to plan next year's conference. It is not going to be here in Monroe. Unfortunately, we do not have access to the beautiful building that we have had in the past. The city of Monroe got an awesome offer on that building, and they took it. So from a taxpayer's point of view that lives inside the city of Monroe, I'm happy they took it, but I'm also very saddened that, you know, we don't have that beautiful venue anymore to do our conference. We are looking at possibly Athens or Covington or Conyers. So we are going to keep it in this general area. Also, another thing is next week's author is going to be our young adult author, Dave Mayer. He has two books out also that are young adult books, so he'll be with us next Thursday night at 7:30 p.m. here Between the Pages Live. Just remember that you can always follow us here on Facebook. We're also, if you missed tonight's episode, or you can always catch the video on here on our Facebook page or our YouTube channel, and also on our website. And we also, I think, Mary handles the Instagram. I'm totally illiterate on Instagram, so I let Mary do that. And we'll also have Mary's information up on the website under Writers Resources. So if you missed it at the beginning of the broadcast, about how you could, if you've got a book that you would like for Mary to review. And the thing is, Mary does not charge for her reviews, so you're getting a good, honest, unpaid review. We'll have that information up on our website under Writers Resources in the coming weeks. So just kind of keep checking back with us periodically, and we'll have that up as soon as we possibly can. Don't forget, the special promo for tonight is Ms. Rat, M-S-R-A-T, if you want to take advantage of the offer for Marlene's books. And like I said at the beginning of the show, there's two things that a book should never be judged by. One is its cover. The second is how it's published. So thank you for tuning in, and thank you for letting us introduce you to your next favorite indie author. And y'all have a good night, and God bless.
Thank you. Good night.